So what is to be done, which is Mark's question, and I look at it from various standpoints. From the legal standpoint, I do think that the current statutory regime can make it clearer and impose more severe penalties on intrusions which do not cause economic damage as such. There is a focus in 1030 on intrusions for commercial purposes, on intrusions that impose economic damage on a network or other economic damage. Obviously, in these political and ideological fights, that kind of economic damage is either non-existent or very difficult to prove. Nevertheless, the danger and of these intrusions and their importance is very great, and the law should be responsive to that. With respect to the technical side, I don't have the expertise that other people have here. I certainly would like to believe, as Tim suggests, that more can be done at the front end to build in technical fixes or protections of various kinds. On the other hand, I understand there are limits, and in the battle between offense and defense, where you have very smart people on all sides, you can't guarantee that the defense is going to win. And then finally, you have the human element. Will people continue to be silly and stupid in two respects? One is how they protect or don't protect their information. And I do think more can be done to educate people. Educational campaigns, whether it's, for example, don't smoke, are not necessarily useless. They do and can work. And the chart we saw earlier of people reducing the frequency of, for example, giving their date of birth on Facebook, although they may counter it by giving away other information, nevertheless is an example. And so more can be done to, I think, persuade people to act in ways that will enhance security. The other stupidity, of course, is human stupidity. People doing silly and stupid things which debase or harm, in the case that I'm talking about, the cause that they may happen to be associated with the organization. And for that, regrettably, I'm not sure there's any known cure. That has always been with us and will continue to be. But in the first two areas, I think there are the things that can be done, the legal and the technical, and I hope we can discuss those further here. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I wanted to particularly thank you for that reference to Section 1030. I had a little something to do with the drafting of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act some time ago, and I recall that the issue that you raised now was a concern almost 30 years ago, that all of the triggering acts were focused on commercial harm and didn't take into account other types of harm. And I know that the law is going to come back under consideration by the U.S. Congress as part of the President's cybersecurity legislative package. So I hope there'll be an opportunity to pursue that proposal. This is what we try to make possible at CFP. It's really not just an academic conference. It's an opportunity to take ideas for public policy and see if we can achieve some outcomes, some results. So thank you for that. Well, it is a special pleasure to be able to introduce Mohamedou Lo, who is with us from Senegal, and we wanted to thank you very much for the trip that you have taken, and also for your work in this field of extraordinary importance. It's a great pleasure to have you here in Washington. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Bonjour.
Very much. Hello.
Je m'appelle Mohamedou Lo.
My name is Mohamed Lo.
Je suis conseiller juridique.
I'm the legal advisor.
Je suis également responsable de tout ce qui est rédaction des projets de loi sur la Société sénégalaise de l'information.
And to the executive, and also I'm responsible for formulating all laws having to do with information in Senegal.
Je travaille également pour la Commission économique des États de l'Afrique de l'Ouest.
I also work for the Economic Commission of States of West Africa.
Je suis également le représentant du Sénégal.
I am also the representative of Senegal
dans l'association franco-française des autorités de protection des données personnelles.
and in the association and the French Language Association for Protection of Personal Data.
Et dans cette association, je suis également membre d'un groupe de réflexion.
Within this association, I'm member of a subcommittee which reflects upon
d'un groupe de réflexion sur la mise en place d'un instrument international sur les données personnelles.
How to set up an international instrument concerning personal data.
Donc c'est un plaisir de me retrouver aujourd'hui devant vous.
So it's a pleasure to find myself here before you today.
Pour partager avec vous ce que nous faisons de l'autre côté de l'Atlantique.
To share with you what we do on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean.
Parce que comme vous le savez, la cybercriminalité,
because as you know, cybercriminality or crime,
la protection des données personnelles,
and the protection of personal data,
c'est des combats mondiaux,
or worldwide ranging combats,
et non pas spécifiques à une zone géographique du monde.
Struggles, and they're not specific to any geographic area of the world.
Donc je vais demander l'indulgence du modérateur.
So I'd like to request the indulgence of the moderator.
En prenant plus de 5 minutes.
Take a little more than 5 minutes.
Pour pouvoir partager avec vous.
To be able to share with you.
Ce qui m'a valu plus de 6 heures, 8 heures de vol.
Which I've spent 8 hours flying over to tell you.
Thank you very much. Donc, ma présentation se résume ainsi.
So my presentation can be summarized in the following manner.
Donc, je commencerai par une introduction.
I will start with the introduction.
Je vous parlerai également du contexte de la réglementation.
I will also speak of the context of regulation.
Des enjeux de cette réglementation.
And the stakes of the regulation.
De l'approche réglementaire qui nous a permis de mettre en place des textes de loi.
And of the regulatory process which allows us to set up laws.
Du contenu de cette réglementation.
And I will speak about the content of this regulation.
Et enfin, je ferai le lien entre cybercriminalité et protection des données personnelles.
And then I will try to show a relationship between cybercriminality and protection of personal data.
Et je terminerai par des perspectives.
And I will finish with the outlooks for the future.
Une petite présentation du Sénégal s'impose.
A little introduction of Senegal would be appropriate.
Le Sénégal est un pays de l'Afrique de l'Ouest.
It's a Western African country.
Entouré des pays comme la Mauritanie.
Surrounded by countries such as Mauritania, Mali,
Guinée,
Guinée-Bissau.
C'est un petit pays qui fait moins de 200 000 km².
It's a small country, somewhat less than 200,000 square kilometers in area.
Pour plus de 13 millions d'habitants.
With over 13 million population.
Et nous avons des avantages en matière de connectivité par rapport à la sous-région.
And we do have advantages in respect to the connectivity for the sub-region. We are in a privileged position.
Et nous avons également des infrastructures de télécommunications très performantes.
We also have very well-performing structures of telecommunications in the country.
Par rapport aux données géopolitiques.
And as far as the geopolitical data is concerned,
c'est un État qui est indépendant depuis 1960.
We've been independent since 1960.
Avec un régime présidentiel.
With a presidential government.
Plusieurs partis politiques. Plusieurs partis politiques.
With several political parties.
Et c'est un pays stable.
And
stable.
And it's a stable country.
La CEDEAO.
The CEAO.
C'est la communauté économique des États de l'Afrique de l'Ouest.
It's the economic community of West African states.
Il y a 15 États.
15 governments.
Je les cite très rapidement. Le Bénin.
I'll cite them here very rapidly. Benin,
Burkina Faso, Cap
Verde,
Côte d'Ivoire,
Ivory Coast,
Gambia,
Ghana,
la Guinée,
Guinée-Bissau,
Liberia, Mali,
Nigeria,
Sierra
Leone, Togo.
La particularité de cette comité sous-régional,
and the special nature of this regional subcommunity is the following.
C'est qu'on y trouve plusieurs langues.
You have several languages in it.
L'anglais,
English,
le français,
French,
mais également le lusophone.
but also the Portuguese-speaking countries.
Cette zone géographique fait plus de 270 millions de kilomètres, 270 millions d'habitants, pardon.
And there are over 200 million people in this area, in this community.
Maintenant, par rapport à la réglementation sur la cybercriminalité et les données personnelles,
In respect to regulation concerning cybercriminality and personal data,
au niveau du Sénégal,
in Senegal,
nous sommes partis de constat. Nous sommes partis de constat.
we have been able to note several things.
C'est l'utilisation croissante des technologies de l'information et de la communication
We have a growth in the use of information technology
dans le secteur public,
in the public sector
dans le secteur privé,
and the private sector,
mais également chez les particuliers.
but also among individuals.
Le deuxième constat,
The second thing that's happening,
c'est la multiplication des abus
there's a multiplication of abuses
dans l'utilisation des nouvelles technologies et de l'information.
in the use of new technology of information.
Mais également en tant que juriste,
And as a lawyer,
on a constaté qu'il fallait mettre en place un environnement juridique adapté.
I see we'll have to set up an appropriate legal environment for what's happening.
Et tout ce constat a été accompagné par une volonté politique très forte.
And all these happenings are accompanied by a very strong political will to do so.
Au niveau de la CEDEAO,
Within the CDAO community,
les chefs d'État
the heads of state
ont fait une déclaration dès 2004
made the Declaration of 2004,
dans laquelle
in which
ils réaffirment leur attachement
they reaffirmed their attachment
à la protection des données et libertés,
to the protection of freedoms
des droits fondamentaux des personnes,
and fundamental rights of people,
notamment de nos vies privées,
especially of privacy,
dans l'utilisation des fichiers
in using files
et traitement des données à caractère personnel.
and in processing personal type data.
Et le fondement juridique
And the legal foundation for that
est l'article 32 du traité
is the Article 32 of the treaty
de la CEDEAO
of the CDAO,
qui date de 1975.
ECOWAS as they call it in English, which goes back to 1975.
Et cette disposition prévoit
The stipulation thereof
l'élaboration d'une politique commune en matière de télécommunications et des technologies de l'information et de la communication.
provide for working out a common policy among the countries for information technology and communications.
Maintenant, après le contexte, nous allons voir les enjeux d'une protection sur la cybercriminalité et sur la vie privée.
After an introduction, we will see the stake in public and private life.
Le premier enjeu
The first stake
a été de mettre en place une politique cybercriminelle
was to set up a cyber criminal policy.
pour maîtriser les risques
The
juridiques,
first challenge, I should say.
économiques,
Pardon?
pour maîtriser les risques juridiques, économiques
To be
et
able
institutionnels
to master the economic, legal, and institutional barriers
et assurer la cohérence de l'ensemble du dispositif juridique dans l'espace de la CEDEAO.
and to ensure the coherence of the legal environment throughout the ECOWAS.
Mais également garantir le respect des droits
But also in order to guarantee the respective rights
et des libertés fondamentales, notamment le droit à la vie privée.
and the basic freedom and to private life.